Nobu is a former Minnesota realtor, educator, and association volunteer leader, and is now the Director of Digital Engagement for the National Association of Realtors. A real estate sales, technology, and new media expert, his mission is to bring value-added information to NAR members, brokers, and associations, online and off, and their insight back to NAR. And we have two additional panelists up here that you have not seen yet today, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce them to you before we get started. Tim Herr is a graduate of Parkview High School and the Georgia Institute of Technology with a Bachelor of Science in Industrial and Systems Engineering. Mouthful. Immediately after graduation, Tim has had a tremendous career in real estate. Currently, he runs and operates a boutique real estate firm based in Gwinnett County. He was a founding member of the Gwinnett Chambers Young Professionals, a charter member for the Gwinnett Mosaic Rotary Club, and board member for the Gwinnett Clean and Beautiful.
Obviously stolen from my LinkedIn. This is not...
This is not accurate? This was a
really long bio.
Sent to me. I'll shorten it up. He is the 2013 and 2014 president of the Atlanta chapter of the Asian Real Estate Association of America, a trade association with 31 chapters and over 15,000 members. They do some amazing events too, by the way. If you didn't make it to their luxury selling event a couple months ago, you really missed out. So get on their mailing list and start to get involved and go to some of their events. So we are happy to have you with us today, Tim Herr. And then Jason Marquis is a technology trainer for the largest brokerage in Alabama, Realty South. He has a passion for teaching technology to agents, both new and experienced. That's a nice word, experienced.
I was a former diplomat.
Very diplomatic of you, Jason. Jason is active in Birmingham, Alabama, and National Association of Realtors. In his spare time, because he has so much of it, not really, he likes to travel to see his 4 sisters, 7 nephews, and 2 nieces, or just enjoy a nice bourbon. So he and I have that in common. So thank you so much for being here. This first panel is going to be on agent technology, and it's a pretty vague and broad topic, we know, but they're going to cover a plethora of different technologies, both new and sort of recycled or coming back around again. So there's going to be a lot of great information. We do not have slides for you for this presentation, so you're going to have to get those pens out and get ready to scribble. So thank you so much, and here's Nobu to take it away.
What's up, guys? How y'all doing again? Atlanta, I love it. It's a little hot, though. Can you do something about the weather, please? We're going to have a conversation. We're going to have a conversation for the next, 20 minutes or so, 30 minutes or so about what's working and what isn't. These guys here are all market leaders at the local level. These guys get things done. And really quickly, let's go and talk about it real quick. Jason, how's the market where you're at?
The market in Birmingham is hot. I, in fact, and right now, my broker is writing an offer for me for $25,000 over list price. It has 35 showings today, and it just went on the market. And they've already gotten 3 other offers. And it's not even noon.
Tim?
I'm in this market here, so this is what everybody's been hearing. We have the same issue here. You know.
Lack of inventory is an issue for everybody right now?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Kristy?
Yeah, the same for us in Nashville. There are certain pockets, but we are seeing phenomenal growth. There's days on market right now are 2 or less. So it's being really, really, really good in the Nashville area right now.
Lee?
I'm in Atlanta, so same thing.
So really quickly, what I wanted to do, and this, by the way, is the interactive part of this, so start thinking of your questions. We're going to have some time for you guys. Put your hands up. I'm going to ask a couple to get the juices flowing for you guys. What I want to ask you guys right now, though, and each one of you, really quickly, to talk about one tool, tech, non-tech, whatever it is. What is working for you right now in your business? Lee, you want to go ahead and start off?
Yeah, I'll start that one. This is not just because my presentation was on it earlier, but we use a lot of, I'll just call it cloud storage, whether it be Drive or Dropbox. We keep our current listings in there because we have a team of 8 licensees. So we keep a PDF of our current listings. So our agents, if they get a call on one of those, they can pull it up and they can say, hey, this one's vacant. It's still available to the best that we can tell, or whatever it is. If it's a rental, do they take pets? Just the basics so they can be educated on the phone. So I would just say and also they don't have to find me at every moment. the information is there for them at every time.
Keeping pertinent information in the cloud.
Right.
Okay, cool. Kristy, about you?
Yeah, so I was going to talk about Drive too. If you haven't, get into that and check add-ons. That's just separate. But let me talk. The tool I want to talk about today is Google Drive. I just said that. It's Google Voice. And I'm using Google Voice. It's a free service. We got our number 212-5010. We put it on all our signs, okay? So I took my cell phone back, right? So on the sign, it has the Google Voice number that goes to, right now I'm here, goes to my assistant first. It's like a conditional forwarding kind of thing. We're doing really well with that. It's also on all of our online lead aggregators, so on your Realtor.com, on your Trulias, it's everywhere. And that way, it just gives you, if you have a team of a large team, it'll ring to everybody's phone. The first person that answers can get it. If you have just you and your assistant, it can ring to your assistant. She can answer, hello, Kristy, here's the team, how can I help you? And it's always just kind of been a really great source for us and streamlines our business so well.
Actually, I would add, when I was in Italy, I spent two and a half weeks in Italy. My wife, who's a realtor in Chicago, uses Google Voice. I couldn't make any phone calls because of where I was, but my wife, using the Wi-Fi connection in Italy at our hotels, she was able to call her clients left and right without a problem using Google Voice, using these numbers that are out there. I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna talk about it in my session. But yeah, the realtor in me wanted to. I was jittery. It's like anyway. We'll talk about that. Tim, what about you?
I use Google Voice to get away from people. No, I'm still traditional. I consider it still old school. I still use social media a lot. It's really interesting, the social media aspect of it. As long as you keep reminding people that you're in real estate, and it's just that little nugget that you just kind of, hey, I did this, I did that. Hey, my clients are happy. This is what's going on. Again, don't bombard them with so much stuff. But I do some personal tidbits, but it's still heavy real estate related, and I still get a lot of leads. And I just picked up another one yesterday. They're like, oh crap, I just forgot Tim still does real estate. So branding.
Jason, what about you?
Evernote. 3 months ago, my company asked me to write a CE class on Evernote. And I had been using Evernote for probably a year and a half, and then I really delved into it to write this class. My business has doubled in 3 months because I have fully harnessed the power of Evernote.
Is it a productivity thing, efficiency thing? How would you use? You figured out how to make CE out of it. So there was.
Okay, so my office will tell you that I am scatterbrained and can't say no, and I'm really bad about turning in paperwork.
Can I borrow $10,000?
It's not that scattered.
And it creates checklists, so I use that for my checklist. But I also I have extra iPads that I give to my clients and let them take their pictures and their notes in Evernote. And that way I'm not running around showing them the same house 3 times because they forgot, because they've seen 45 homes. And what they hated about it the first time is reminded to them virtually and not having to drag them across town.
So you're using it as kind of a way to crowdsource, a way to share your brain with your clients on the fly. You sharing folders and things like that with them? Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. Tim, and this is something, I hate to start with a local guy, but Tim, I've been stalking this dude, I've been stalking this dude for a
Asians
while.
stick together.
But I've been stalking this guy. He ran for office. Everybody remember Tim doing this? Awesome. It was awesome. Good on you, Tim, right?
The realtors, the RPAC really helps. So, by the way, I'm doing an RPAC plug. If you're not a member of RPAC, please be a member of RPAC. Thank you.
But you talked about using social media as a branding tool. We talked a little bit about kind of your journey when you were running for office. What has happened since?
Sure. Obviously, running for office. So, if you were not aware, I took a stab at running for State House in Gwinnett County for the state of Georgia. Although unsuccessful in my bid, I did make a lot of really good connections. And the business aspect, so although the political aspect of it, I'm a little sad and yada, yada, yada. We'll talk about that over drinks one day. If you want to buy, I'm still a politician. Elected official, non-elected official anyway. But the business side of things was really interesting because I was juggling and I co-brokered with somebody in this room, Suzanne, at the same time that I was trying to run for office, and it was a really big struggle. So I had I had two different brands. I had my elected official, I'm trying to run for office brand, and my self brand, the one that I've always brought up as a real estate agent. So I had to make another page and do the whole real estate. I'm trying to run for elected office and stuff like that. My clients was about to kill me because they could not get a hold of me. Of course, when you're running for office, if you're all in it, you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing. And I had to take a little bit of a hiatus and just really downsize the number of clients that I could work with at a given moment. So I really only focused on the one day I was co-oping in my subdivision that I control. Which, yeah, flexibility. What had happened afterwards was my brand image obviously went up because I was able to, because of the reputation that I made when I was running for office, and I ran a very clean race, in my opinion, and stuff like that. It actually, my business has actually doubled. Like all of a sudden, everyone was kind of just waiting on the sidelines. They're like, we like the way that you presented yourself when you were running for office, so I can trust you with my listing, or I can trust you with buying something else. So again, you have to keep in mind that whatever you do on the outside of stuff really does affect your business afterwards as well. So if I had done a very negative campaign, or if I did something really shady or really bad, I'm pretty sure the aftermath would have been just as disastrous. A lot of my clients was actually just waiting on the sidelines, and they're like, we were kind of just waiting for you to finish your run. We didn't think you were going to win. So, so they're like, oh, okay, the prime minister came around. Please, will you take my listing now? I was like, absolutely. Thanks. Wait, I don't know if that's a really good thing, but thank you for trusting in me for taking your listing or letting me represent you. So my business has picked up tremendously a lot, and it's just been really crazy trying to catch up for this. We only get paid if we close. That's the part of our business that's really hard, and so I'm trying to do the catch-up work in the aftermath. So
you're pretty passionate though about politics, aren't you? I had no idea, frankly, until I started seeing things like that.
Sure. Of course, it's again, the brand. It's all about the branding. So if you're following me on Facebook, although I talk about politics, it's still the brand. The way that I use Facebook, I realize is in the college years and stuff like that has all been deleted. It's actually been I had to delete that if you're running for office. And again, I've had Facebook since I was in college. So basically what I ended up doing was I disabled my Facebook. So this is a secret that nobody really knows. So I'll give you guys a secret in this room. And because I've had Facebook for so long since college, when it first came out, I had over 3,000 people that I eventually friended. I had no idea who half these people were. As typical Facebook happens over 10 years or however long it's been around. What I did was I disabled it and turned it into a page. So what happened with the page, if you do that, is everyone turns into a like of that page, right? So all your friends turn into a like, whether they like it or not. They were still a page. So what I did was I converted that page into my political page because I knew that I didn't know a lot of people on that page, but they knew they were disappearing. And I never liked Tim Herford State House. What is this? But they didn't know. And what I did was I secretly made another personal account and refriended all the couple thousand. So I had another Facebook account. So I had two. So one is a page, and one is my personal that I use for real estate. So I was still able to distinguish back and forth, and now I still focus back on my personal page. So if you inadvertently, if you're in this room and you inadvertently all of a sudden have Tim Herford State House, that was because I converted you into a like. Secretly.
What I learned a lot from Tim, and this is me not being in real estate anymore, was the passion that he had and what he did. Frankly, I didn't know about that. Crazy. But the passion that you have outside of real estate is an effective marketing tool if used correctly. My wife, for example, new realtor, she needed a niche. Niches are huge now, again. She's not a tech-savvy agent. She isn't. She's married one, but she isn't one. I told her that. But what she is crazy dog lady. And what she did was she donates 5% of her commissions to all of the local charities around town. And what she did was called every single one of these charities and asked them, can I give you money? They said yes, and all they do is talk about her on social media. All of her clients now are coming from these charity groups. Shared passions. Think about that. Who has a passion here outside of real estate? Church, right? Social groups, anything like that? Start leveraging it. Start doing it as part of your marketing?
Yeah, no, so the way that I ended, so I did a thank you note to everyone. I said, hey, thank you for supporting me for office, yada, yada, yada. And my last line is where everyone kind of triggered back into my real estate. So what I did was, I thanked everyone for helping me out and talked about I didn't win, yada, sadness, cry, boohoo. And then I ended up with, hey, now I'm back into real estate. Who's buying and selling? That was my last line. And then everyone was like, oh, crap, yeah, Tim still does real estate. Oh, yeah, now Tim has time, or the perception of time. That he has time for real. So just make sure to tie it back in. Don't, with your passion, always keep reminding them, hey, I still do real estate. You still have to remember that I still have to make a living somehow.
Jason, you're in a market where there's a lot of doctors. Who likes doctors in this room? Everybody raise your hand. You all like doctors, right? But you got people coming in and out, transient market. You talked a little bit about crowdsourcing, networking. How are you doing? Are you using technology for that? And how can these guys run with that type of mindset in their business?
Actually, I'm not. It was funny. 3 years ago, I was on my floor duty and got a phone call from a medical resident who was trying to reach another agent in my office whose husband is a head of one of the programs at UAB, and she couldn't return the call. And so she called the office. And from that, I worked with her, found them a house, 4 other residents that year, because they all group together and they do everything together and over drinks. And then I got 8 transactions out of it last year, and this year I'm on my 16th. And it's just providing good customer service, returning the phone call. And my first set of residents are going to move next year because their residency, the 3-year residency is up. They've already contacted me. Okay, when do we need what? Come over in the fall. Let's talk about what we need to do to get the house ready for sale. I'm already building my 2015 pipeline.
I was going to say, one of the things we were talking about, shared interest. I think for so long we were told as realtors, you want to have your personal page and then you want to have this business page. And all you are is like this business person, but don't talk about listings too much and don't talk about this too much on your page, So we ended up having this dual lifestyle, right? Like, I'm not a real person. I don't have anything to do. And I think, now what we're hearing really is some of the people who are becoming successful, and not even just becoming, it's just that they're merging those two things together. So an example might be, I know in Nashville we have we opening up a lot of new greenways, for example. And so the mayor is having like a 100-mile walk with the mayor over these greenways. So one of the things is I'm all about trying to get healthy and all that. And so I have friends who are trying to do the same thing. So all I did was say, hey, put a group together. Why don't we go walk and do the greenways? 2 things happen. We get to walk, which is good. It's 3 miles. And then also, we get to do something shared together over common interests of health. So now, it's not just having those 2 separate, and that's what we're told a lot of times in social media as realtors, have these 2 separate lives. But what we're finding is, over time, it's better to merge and find people in your database. The reason they know, like, and trust you because they're in your sphere of influence is because you have shared interests. So now what we're hearing is, go ahead. Let them know about those shared interests, invite them to be a part of those shared interests, and now it's not, oh, what else can I come up with on social media to get them to read my blog? Now it's just taking that online, offline.
Yeah. Your clients aren't segmenting their lives. Where are you? What most are thinking about is, should I be sharing me slamming a beer on Facebook? Probably not. But everything else probably go up there, right? That's actually a pretty interesting thing that you're bringing up there, right? It's kind of sharing things. Culture has become kind of a huge thing within a brokerage. Lee, you oversee a team. How do you get people to buy into this technology stuff that we've been talking about? Do you guide them? How do you get them to buy in and drink your Kool-Aid?
From a team perspective, meaning within the team?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I mandate what technology we use.
That's good.
No,
you're
but
telling them what to do.
Well,
frankly, is that what it is?
And to be fair, it is. But for us specifically, there was definitely some trial and error. But the one thing that you start to realize sometimes by fire is that as you introduce all of these things, that some of them work and some of them don't. So for us, we did a lot of that last year, and quite frankly, my goal this year has been to not change anything, because you've got to have a plan. The technology is going to change. I mean, new things are going to pop up. Even some of the tools that we use have changes within them. But my goal absolutely this year has really been to not change anything that our agents specifically are dealing with.
So you're refining things as you go.
Right. So we exactly.
What was the biggest mistake that you guys made? It was something that you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to use that ever again.
I don't think I could say that, but no, I don't think there were, it was for me personally, honestly, a lot of it was more, I think, learning to not just give people all of these amazing ideas, the shiny nickel idea of like, hey, this thing called Dropbox came out, we gotta have it, and then you gotta have an Evernote, and you gotta have, I try to get my guys to use Evernote on the team, but quite frankly, I tell everybody, use it for your shopping list. Use it for something you do at home. Use it for stuff that you love. Don't, because everybody jumps in and they say, oh, well, how can I put my contracts in here? And it's like, it's not really made for that. I mean, you can, but that's not really what it's for. So there's definitely a movement in our industry, I think, away from the excitement of every new thing and kind of into, we have a plan. It works for us. We didn't have to hire consultants to come in and make this crazy plan. We use Dropbox for this. We use Google Drive for this. We use our CRM for this. And short of that, when you get a lead texted to your phone, call them. Send them this email. That's what I want our people to do. I want them to focus on that. They don't need to learn. In fact, I tell them not to come to these events, to be honest with you, because I don't want them to come back and say, oh, I heard about this thing, and we don't need that. We're good.
No.
Sorry. Sorry, Mara.
Yeah, Reggie's going to kill you
Yeah.
back there.
One thing I will add is that I'm pretty sure everyone in this room has experienced this, but your buyers are also very tech savvy, or to a point, very tech savvy as well. So you kind of want to match the level of your buyer. I do have a handful of international clients, and my international clients are way more technologically advanced than I am. And they'll start quizzing me on the properties that I'll send over to them because they've already Google Earthed it. They found there's a power line half a mile down the street, or they've seen this and they see that, and they're like, oh, where is the property line? I'm like, oh yeah, let me just see what's on MLS. But again, they already know. They've already gone 10 times above what you've probably have at the disposal of MLS, right? So you do have to be a little bit more keen on some technology stuff, maybe from the buyer standpoint, not so much of, because we're talking about how to expand our business as a realtor, but just keep that in mind. There's more than just technology than just that.
So you guys are actually all in markets where, medical school kids, right? International buyers from Atlanta. In Nashville's one of the most cosmopolitan, rising cities in the country.
It was Birmingham.
Yeah. So how are you guys using technology to convey value to those people? You're doing it through service, Jason?
I'm doing it through service. I'm also, our market is very, we have 37 cities within Jefferson County, the city of Birmingham, and we have 38 school systems. So, and our county city lines go like this. Same street. Very, very, very different prices. Same house, one side of the street is $150,000 more than the other side of the street. Because you're in a different school system, a different city, and you have the city of Mountain Brook, for example. So I convey so people ask me, why is this house 300, that one is 180? They're across the street from each other according to Google Earth. Is the street paved with gold on the left side? Yeah. No, it's the same house, it's just that you're paying for the schools. You're paying for the cachet.
What's this with Kristy? You mentioned that you blog. Are you doing this? Because Nashville, most people think, oh, honky tonk. But Nissan of America is based in Nashville. How are you dealing with these folks? Are you using your blog for that?
Well, I like to keep it simple. Okay, my life is. I got 2 kids under 7. I'm just trying to keep it as simple as possible. So one of the things I still use Hootsuite. People don't talk about that anymore, but it makes my life a lot easier from the social media world. And so what that means is I like to follow various streams, in Nashville because there's a lot of things that are happening. So sometimes it's hashtag Nashville because you want to know we're evolving so much. It's like a new restaurant every week. There's this new building that's coming every week. We had this new development called 1212 that's there. And so you want to stay on top of it. And I use social media for that. So I use Hootsuite where I have these streams. So I know if I'm looking at Nashville Business Journal, if I'm looking at hashtag Nashville, if I'm looking at WKR, and whatever I'm looking at, so that I can kind of keep my eye on some of those things that are happening because it's changing so fast in Nashville right now. And so one of the things I always tell people is, I know with blogging, even if you don't want to blog and you just want to do a Facebook post or a tweet about something, right, that the best way to kind of figure out how to do that is what questions do you keep hearing? Okay, what questions do you keep hearing from people that you automatically say all the time? Or what are the things that you hear people talking about as it relates to the newest restaurants? I had one agent in our office. She said she was going to tear out the Nashville scene where it talks about the top 10 restaurants to go to, and she was just going to talk about that. I went to this restaurant over here. It was great. Here's our favorite thing. And she just started talking about that in her blog. And there's different things that you can do with that. But look at what the market is talking about. Look at what you hear neighbors talking about. Think about the questions you hear all the time, and just use that in your social media strategy.
Excellent. Y'all have any questions for these guys? Okay, go ahead. The leads, long-term leads, how are you following up?
Oh, so one of the things that I mentioned, on your CRM that you have, I believe that whichever one you choose, it has to talk back to you. You have to be able to go in there and know what that person's activity is. So to answer your question, how often do I call them, is based on their activity on the site. So if I saw that there's a person that's been on the our CRM for 2 years, but I saw that recently last week she just saved this house, then that's sometimes an indicator for me to reach out to her about this house. Hey, whether it's email or call, hey, I'm just checking in with you. I saw last week you just saved that house. I just wanted to follow up. Where are you right now in your home buying process? And then you want to have a CRM that has notes so you can reference what was the last thing we talked about. Last time I talked to you, you said you were waiting on your husband to see if he could relocate to such and such, right? So that's what you want to. So to answer your question, I don't have a formula for how long. I look at it based on their activity of what they're doing on the site. If someone's not open to email, if they haven't saved a listing, if they haven't, I don't put a whole lot of time back into them.
Paying attention. What CRM are you using?
Well, I use Market Leader still, but I also use Top Producer.
Tim, what are you using? You using a CRM?
No, but I use myself. And the only reason why is because when you work with international clients, the timeline could be really, really long. The one that I just co-op, but it was my biggest co-op for the year. I mean, my biggest sale of the year. That took 2 years for me to generate. But again, it was a nice payday, and it was the biggest sale of the year. But so it could take a lot of time.
Jason, what CRM are you using?
Realty Juggler and Follow Up Boss.
Okay.
Realty Juggler and Follow Up Boss.
Lee, what about you?
We use Follow Up Boss.
Follow Up Boss, yeah. Follow Up Boss compels you to do something. It's you in the butt.
It's really amazing, actually, and I would speak on that to sort of what Kristy was saying as well, is that we have that set up with a company called Better Voicemail as well. So our calls, they have an API integration, so our calls actually go into our CRM, which I think is huge. Everybody kind of runs around, and we got to have these action plans, we got to send emails, and we got to do all this, but when you can track your phone calls that come in, and I mean, that's really where the gold is. It's so funny. It seems like everybody's running around trying to respond to these emails or set them up on an action plan, and it's like, hey, this guy just called you. Maybe you should just call him back.
We have 5 minutes. You guys, questions if you got them. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going. All right, cool. Sellers. Lack of inventory is an issue right now. Are you guys doing anything cool in your marketing or planning to do anything in your marketing to talk to sellers? Next year, this year, anything?
I'm preparing an old school mailing piece showing that in my little my sub-market of Birmingham, that homes are selling for 105% of list.
Sub-market. What do you mean by sub-market?
Like I said, Birmingham has 37 municipalities, and my office, if you know Birmingham, is in Mountain Brook. And I am not a Brookie, and I am not from Martin Brook. We call that the Tiny Kingdom. I'm not a resident of the Tiny Kingdom, and I'm trying to get into that market. And I am showing them that, hey, here are your statistics. Here are your statistics on the street.
Yeah.
I can break it down to homes on Peachtree Street are selling for 2 days. Are you thinking of selling? Do you want to think of selling? Can I knock on your door?
Where are you getting the stats? MLS?
From MLS?
Yeah. Your MLS has got data there that you most of you guys, less than 10% of you are actually accessing. Let's make it.
I was going to say the same thing. I still am a fan of expired listings, okay, but not the ones that expired yesterday, but maybe the one that expired 6 to 12 months ago. So a lot of times where we're getting some of our traction, I know we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but I go back to those expired listings, people that had their hands up before that couldn't sell the house when it was a completely different market. They were totally deflated, and they thought, you know what, I don't know that the market's changed. People are watching national news a lot of times. So to those people, I like to farm those people specifically, and we're seeing that work out really well. And I know we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but those just listed postcards and just sold postcards really, really are coming back into the marketplace.
I think if to speak to the seller side, this isn't exactly new anymore, but the home value sponsored post on Facebook is really, for us running a brand, running a page, you can do the sponsored posts there. And you can strategize. I think what people don't always realize is we use that as a longer term tool, and I think we're building a database of people that are homeowners. These aren't necessarily come list me leads. We're not looking for, hey, I'm selling right now, because, nobody's going to turn that away. But I think if you're building a database of homeowners and you're constantly serving them email or Facebook ad of useful information or just keeping them in that pipeline, it's more of a long-term strategy.
It's kind of unfortunate that we consider postcards and just solds as old school. It's not. I did an agent caravan yesterday, and we were just ripping each other to shreds, going to each other's houses, and you didn't do this, you didn't do that. You should tell the seller to do this, and I'm like, what the? Anyway, but then we were talking about best practices, and he was like, yeah, you know what? I just did a mailer, and I picked up 3 listings. I was like, really? That's amazing. But he what he was doing, it was just literally micro, it was a micro farming the entire subdivision, the neighborhood, and just targeting the houses that were not recently sold or recently bought, and you were just mailing them out. And I was like, and it really worked. And he's like, yeah, it still works. And everyone is so consumed with this. I got to be on, I got to do all these technology things. We have to remember to go back to our basics a lot.
We have 2 minutes. Tim, 2 minutes. What is the one thing that these guys should be doing with their business or marketing plan, technology, non-technology, next year? We're midway through this year. What is the one thing you'll be doing next year for your business?
It's I will always be, and I tell this to everyone too. This is not really technology related, but I know that today's technology, but really focus on global, international, because international and global should always be a portion, not all of it, but a small portion of your business, because you will find that those referrals will always come, and it should always be a book of your business, because at least you see in Atlanta and all the metropolitan cities, we are cheaper than New York and LA. Okay, so if we can, the client, the reason why my client actually came back to me was he went to look for a $2 million listing in California, could not find anything, and then found a 30,000 square foot house here for $2 million. That is the difference that you have. So just keep that in mind. Global is always, don't let language be a barrier. You have your resources like the realtors and all the different associations. So don't let language be a barrier, but let global be a part of your business.
Jason, what's one thing?
When you come up with a program, and this is something that Kristy said in her lead class, give it time to come to fruition. Statistics have shown that people will give up right before the explosion. And if it's not doing anything, I'm going to give up. Stick with it one more month, and you'll get 5 listings, and you'll get 10 buyers. And the goals that you have set for yourself are right there. You just give up right before it happens.
Kristy, what about you?
This year we focused a lot on rebranding and refocusing, and so next year it's all about streamline. Right now my life is all about streamlining. So when I go into 2015, we want to have a plan for what is that database we're using, what is our message, who is our core audience that we want to reach, so we're not scattered all over with our marketing efforts, but really focusing in. If I'm just a primary listing agent, then my website is going to match that. The news that I'm talking about on whatever social media platform is going to match that. My team's got to match that. So really streamlining that business to where it's not something that you're recreating the wheel all the time. It just takes too much time, and it slows down momentum.
Definitely tracking your sources and what you're spending money on and what it's doing. And you can do it with the CRM. You can get crazy fancy. You can do these clickable whatever. Or you can ask people when they call you. Say, how did you hear about me? Where did you, what brought you to me? And I think you should always get in the habit of doing that, no matter what it is. Because sometimes people literally forget, or they're nervous, or they're just calling you about a house. They forget to say, oh yeah, I heard you were running for office. I heard about you. You saw your name. You sounded cool. I gave you a call. So I would just say anything you can do to track, as simple or as complicated as it is, I would recommend that.
I know you only get one tip. I was going to say,
That's
just
worth-
stop
go ahead.
throwing money at things. Like he said, just stop throwing money at things. People call you all the time. They're salesy. They want to get you to buy this, buy that.
Yeah.
Stop throwing money at things and look at what's really providing that highest return of interest.
Yeah, there's plenty of solutions for problems you guys don't have. At the end of the day, it really is gonna it's gonna come back to getting back to your clients, streamlining yourself, planning for the long term, right? Year, 2 years out, right? Getting local with your marketing. This is the blueprint, guys, for what most of us should be doing in our markets for the next year. Give them a hand. Thank you, guys.